The first time I watched Superboys of Malegaon, I wasn't impressed. But then, I'd keep seeing reels of critics and filmmakers I admire talking very highly of it.
Superboys of Malegaon is an inspiring, charming, and moving ode to the movies.
Superboys of Malegaon मैं हुआ हूँ. I think the best ये साल.
राइटर बाप होता है.
Writer बाप.
And I thought, did I miss something? So I watched it again. Turns out, I didn't. In fact, it made me ask myself a bigger question. Is anything based on a true story set in an underprivileged part of the country and made by reputed artists automatically great cinema? Or am I missing something here? Hi, I am Siddhaya and this is Think Think Think. As much as the film tries to sell this story as a poignant tale of filmmaking and friendship, passion overcomes shoestring budgets, blah blah blah. But what it actually is a rise-fall reunion arc. And that's not new at all. To see this clearly, let's rewind to 2010 to a very different film, Badmaash Company. Yes, a mainstream masala entertainer that might get you eye rolls from cinephiles. But just hear me out. Both Nasir and Karan are forced to fight the same battles, for which they have the same strategy, teaming up with their friends. And both are lucky enough to get quick success, but then fall apart just as quickly because of their egos. Both the movies essentially have the same progression of the protagonists in the first half. You may even find them saying the same things and fighting the same battles. But despite its many flaws, or rather the makers' debatable choices, one thing that Badmaash Company does better than Superboys of Malegaon is concluding the character arc in a wholesome manner. Karan, who thinks that it's okay to break rules, relationships, and just get ahead, learns his lesson and now values honesty and honor like his father, that he once repelled. And that brings me to my next issue with Superboys of Malegaon. From the start, Nasir dismisses people easily.
मालेगांव में ना खाली एक ही चीज की कमी नहीं है इंसानों की. तुम नहीं और सही और नहीं और सही.
The only reason he manages to get the team together is Farooq's decision to join him, which comes from his own personal motives. However, in the process of making Malegaon Ki Sholay, Nasir's flaws start creating an unsettling atmosphere in the gang. And Farooq becomes the first to walk out when he understands that all Nasir cares about is his own vision and motives. The rest of the crew also has the same concern that Nasir fails to even acknowledge, let alone resolve, thus ending the successful run of the team. After which, Nasir's films stop working as they used to and he ends up losing his beloved cinema hall, which is bad, but not an absolute rock bottom, especially if you compare it to Farooq, who is left with nothing, or even Shafiq. When it comes to earning his redemption in the eyes of the people he hurt, the film serves it to him on a silver platter without any real effort in overcoming his flaws. And when the reunion happens, it isn't because Nasir confronts his flaws, it's because Shafiq's illness gives the group a reason to gather again. Shafiq's cancer is a powerful motive for friendship, yes, but does it erase the harm that Nasir caused? The film treats it as if it does. And not just Badmaash Company, but even in Dil Chahta Hai, though Akash overcomes his struggle to confess his love towards Shalini, his arc isn't complete until he apologizes to Sid, and that does not happen right after his proposal to Shalini. It takes him that final push before completely getting past his flaws. This release of strong or repressed emotions is what is referred to as catharsis, where the character truly realizes what they had been missing out on all this while. Even in Badmaash Company, Karan losing his company and ending up in jail isn't enough for him to show his change. It's only when he breaks down in front of Bulbul and promises his child that he will be a father that he can be proud of.
I promise कि मैं इस दुनिया का सबसे अच्छा husband और सबसे अच्छा पापा बनूंगा.
And that's when you know that Karan has truly overcome his flaw. And that is exactly why, despite this well-designed scene, Nasir does not seem to be worthy of the admiration unless he had earned the collaboration with his team or sacrificed something of his own for it. Because we always knew that Nasir was capable of making his audience happy. But what he had to learn was to value the people around him. There are only so many ways to tell a story, and each one adapts to some narrative structure that has been devised to tell that story in the best way. And yes, as creatives, we must experiment with them rather than blindly following them as rules. Having said that, it's not necessary that something is extraordinary only for the fact that it bends some rules. Superboys of Malegaon has great moments between characters and even some great dialogues and fantastic cinematography. Great films are not a great presentation of what exists, but rather a great perspective on what great things are born out of. It's not about watching someone run a race, but about watching the refugee who, by winning that race, finally conquers his grief. And that's what I couldn't find in Superboys of Malegaon. Is it a bad film?
नहीं.
Definitely not. But is it great cinema? Think, think, think.